Alright, welcome to this week's episode of How To. Today we're going to be talking about how to mask using channels in Photoshop so you can change images from this to this. So let's get started. So what you're going to want to do is once you have your image imported into Photoshop, you're going to want to come over here to the channels. One of them is going to be RGB, one of them is going to be blue, red, and green. You're going to want to click on each of the red, blue, and green to see which gives you a darker foreground and then a lighter background, as in your sky. Once you've figured out which one gives you this result, you're going to control click on that, and this should bring up a bunch of marching ants around your image. Once those marching ants appear, you're going to want to click and drag just that layer to the layers icon down in the bottom of the panel and drop it on there. This is going to create a copy of that layer. Next, you press Ctrl D to deselect everything, and now you want to make everything in the foreground darker and the sky lighter. To do that, we're going to bring up the levels by clicking Ctrl L. You're going to want to slide the outside sliders in to make the darker areas darker and the lighter areas brighter. And then the mid-tone tab in the middle, you can kind of slide and adjust accordingly. And that looks about good right there. Once you've done this, our next goal is to get the foreground completely black and the sky completely white. To do this, you're going to want to just grab the brush tool over here on the side, or you can press B on the keyboard. And you're going to want to start with your color as black, and you're going to want to paint all the foreground. Careful not to get the black into the white areas. And once you get close to the skyline and the edge, it becomes tricky. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to come up here to your toolbar and you're going to change the mode of the brush to overlay. What this does is it makes it so that it only paints black in the black areas, so if it's white, the black won't appear. After you have your foreground completely black, you're going to want to do the exact same thing with this guy. So you'll come up here, switch your brush back to normal, and paint all the areas where it's clear and easy and make that white. And then switch it back to overlay once you get close to the edge again, the skyline, so that way you don't spill any of the white over into the black areas. Get that all nice and painted in there like that. You're going to want to go over, and on the copy layer, you're going to control click again. This should bring back up your marching ants. Once the marching ants appear, you're going to come back over to your layers tab, click on that, and then you're going to want to come down here to the bottom of the panel, and there's going to be an icon, and this icon's the masking icon. You click on that, and this will make your sky disappear. After that happens, you're free to bring in whatever image you want to replace the background with, and after a few tweaks with the little curves, you can get images like this. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.